Welcome, 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 everyone, to opening act to opening act for all's Ask an Artist series. So many A's, so many A's. My name is Brittany Adebumola, and I'm a proud alum of Opening Act, a high school theater program in New York City. It is the bomb. I will cheer for Opening Act always and forever. I'm also a recent graduate of Syracuse University's BFA acting program, and shameless plug, you can currently see me on the Netflix original series Grand Army, so check that out. But most importantly, today I am thrilled to welcome Geoffrey Arend to our broadcast. Geoffrey is a fellow native New Yorker, and he's a prolific actor who has been in literally everything from Super Troopers to Family Guy to most recently Madam Secretary and Goliath. I have a few questions for him, and I bet you do too. So please let us welcome Geoffrey Arend.
Hi.
Welcome. So just for anybody watching right now, as we go through the interview and, we're in dialogue, if you have any questions, feel free to pop them in the comment section and we'll get to them. Alrighty, so Geoffrey, before we get into, how you got to where you are today, can you tell me one thing you're doing nowadays to sort of uplift yourself and bring joy into your life?
Oh man, bring joy into my life. I have like this, I'm very bad at making music, but I have a great time making music. And it's one of those like creative places that I can really play and I don't worry about anything. And I feel it's amazing how much better I feel after I've created something, even if it's not worth sharing, So that's how I've been trying to keep happy.
Amazing. Do you play the guitar? Do you sing, piano?
I sing and I play. I grew up, I learned how to play the piano. I really don't know how to play that well anymore. So I've migrated to synthesizers. So I'm like, turning knobs and plugging in patch cables and, making weird sounds. It's fun.
Those are cool. I've always found them interesting, but never really tried it out myself. What kind of music?
What kind of music? I mean, I grew up on Stevie Wonder and David Bowie and Beach Boys, so it's a lot of harmonies and a lot of weird kind of melodies, and like I said, those synths. So there's like a point where I'm making something and I just sort of zone out and you get into the sound and it just feels there's something that happens. It feels like a meditation, which is nice.
That's amazing. So then would you agree, because obviously you're a successful actor, but at least when I was in school, I always heard yes, acting is going to be your thing, you're going to pursue that, you're going to make money off of that, but after a while, at least for some people, that's not going to be the one thing that's going to fuel you, and you're going to need other things. So do you find that true, and has music become that thing for you?
It's more of a hobby. I don't think I think anybody, if they heard my music, they'd be like, you need to find another job to help you do your music. I've been lucky in that way where I've been able to continue to work. When I was living in New York, I always had that sense of this could be a fleeting enterprise. This could be something that can go away, tomorrow. So I think I made maybe 10 movies or somewhere on maybe under 10 movies and 4 or 5 TV shows. And I was still working as a waiter in New York at John's Pizza, because I was like, I can't get rid of this Sunday shift. I can't get rid of this Thursday shift. I need to be working. So I've always had a sense that if acting didn't work out, I don't have the hubris to not do other things, I don't think that there's really any job beneath me. I just feel lucky.
I hear that for sure. So when did you know you wanted to be an actor, and when did you start pursuing that?
I was a pretty sick kid growing up in Queens, which like if you have asthma and you're in Queens and you can't play sports, you're immediately like there's like a giant target on your forehead. So I couldn't play like in elementary school, I couldn't play kickball, I couldn't do anything with, dodgeball without having an asthma attack. And in sixth grade, they we were going to do our play. Everybody in sixth grade does a final play, and I remember we were we were doing Pirates of Penzance, and we were reading through the script, and everybody got a chance to read each part. And the Pirate King was coming up for me, and I got to the Pirate King, and I was like, "What are you gonna do? You gonna do the voices that you do by yourself?" Because literally, like as a sick kid, you're like, for me, I was a lot of times like alone by myself in my bedroom, just like attached to stuff, trying to breathe. So you quickly start to figure out, if you don't have a TV in your room, you quickly start to figure out how to entertain yourself. And I remember that moment in sixth grade of just like, it's coming up. Do I risk getting made fun of by doing this pirate voice, or do I
Right.
just do something regular? And it got to the Pirate King, and little like 12-year-old, 11-year-old me started being like, me mateys, where are you doing? And everybody was
Yes,
like,
for the bold choice.
everybody was like, what was that?
Mhm.
How'd that happen? So that became like an idea that, oh, there's something there for me. And then I kind of went to junior high school, let it go. And then it came time to like going to high school, and a lot of my friends were going to St. Francis Prep, which is a Catholic school, cost money. We couldn't really like afford that. And then it was like the specialized high schools. There's, Bronx Science, Stuyvesant, Brooklyn Tech, and LaGuardia. And I was like, what's LaGuardia? Because I didn't really want to go to Bronx Science or Brooklyn Tech. And I got into Bronx Science. I didn't get into Stuyvesant. And I was like, man, do I really want to go? I mean, I'm good at science, but I'm not that good. And it doesn't really fuel me. And then I read about LaGuardia, and I was like, this place sounds amazing, and auditioned for that. And that was the first time, like when I auditioned for that school, and the person who was my reader after my first cold read, they make you do a cold read and they make you do a monologue. After my cold read, the person who was like taking me around to the different parts of the audition looked at me and was like, you got in. That was crazy. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah, you're really good. I was like, oh, I might be good at this.
Wow.
It was amazing. And then I found out they didn't have sports at LaGuardia. They didn't have gym at LaGuardia. I was like, I found my home.
Perfect. Right.
You're gonna teach me
Right.
to breathe and dance. That's great.
That's amazing. Yes. Breathe. I feel like, I mean, at least in my university, at Syracuse University, we spent the first 2 years just learning how to breathe. Breath is life.
Isn't that amazing? Isn't how it's so powerful?
It is. It is. And it's funny because I almost feel like everyone should at least have one class where they're learning how useful that is, in
Yeah.
terms of like understanding the power of your breath and how it can change how you present yourself, how you wake up in the morning, how you go to bed at night.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think I agree with you. It's like such a human thing. Like there should be a class to be like, this is what it's like to be present in your body. This is like what it's like to be present in your breath. And these are the tools that every human being has that you should learn to harness, because it,
absolutely.
it will help you across the board.
Absolutely. I think it was just yesterday I was feeling pain and I was just like, you know what? Just center yourself for a minute, straighten your back, a little Alum technique and just
Feel it pull, your spine
yes,
lift.
exactly. All of that, all of that. So it's amazing that you went to LaGuardia and I mean, that's a high school, of course, but did you know that you wanted to pursue acting for a living that early, or was it like maybe 2 years into LaGuardia after? When did you decide like, okay, I'm pursuing this like 100%?
I think it was, I mean, LaGuardia set up like a lot of the college conservatory programs. You have multiple teachers, you have multiple different methods that you're learning, different types of classes. And I was all in. I was like, this is fun. I seem to have a skill at this, and I don't I would rather do this than any other job. I would rather like pursue this. And then, because of the respect that that school had, there would be I started in voiceovers because MTV um, came to our school looking for talent, and they weren't doing it because they were like looking to like raise up kids, talented kids. They were coming to our school because MTV is owned by Viacom, and for most of I guess for most of cable TV's lifespan, which is I think over now, they they were non-union and they wouldn't pay the money that you should get paid doing jobs. So they were coming to basically get kids to like work for very little money. So they came in and they were like, "You can do funny voices? Come over here. Come on, let's talk for a second."
Wow.
And I just like got hired to do Celebrity Deathmatch and Daria, and I also got fired at one point from Daria because I was doing 10 voices in the pilot cartoon at the table read, and they made a joke. They were like, we should say Daria is played by this person, the father's played by this person, and everybody else is played by you. And I was like, all right, and they all laughed. And then they tried to pay me $200 for 10 voices. And I was like, listen, I know you guys are like taking advantage of me, but that's a
Yeah.
lot. That's a
Yeah.
lot. And they basically, when I said that, they fired me, hired somebody to do impersonations of the voices I created for those characters that they hired me for. And they couldn't get one of the characters right. So they hired me back just for that one character and paid me like $300 for that one character. So I felt like I won some battle, but
Right.
when you look at it, you didn't really win. You never win.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, and then what age were you?
I was
When you
whatever
started
that
fighting
I think that was like sophomore year of LaGuardia. So what
Wow.
is that? What is that? How old are you when you're 12, 13? Like 15 or something, or
Right.
16 or something like that?
Right.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
and when you realized that they were kind of, taking advantage of your artist, of your work, did you
Yeah.
spoke up? You
I
spoke
spoke
about it?
up. I spoke up, but it got me in trouble, and that's
Mm,
like, and also like I didn't have a manager, I didn't have an agent. My mom was my manager, basically, making calls on my behalf, and she didn't know.
that's why I was impressed, because at that young age, I wouldn't have said anything. That's
I
why I
was,
asked like how old you were, because a lot of
yeah,
us, maybe don't know how to advocate for ourselves in that sense.
I've been an idiot most of my life, and I've been a little too bold in a lot of respects. And LaGuardia only exacerbated that because we had really competent teachers and mentors there that were
Mm.
constantly reminding us of the power we had and the ability we had. So when somebody came in and was like, and we're New Yorkers too. Like as a New Yorker,
Yeah.
I'm always like, "Are you trying to take advantage of me?"
Right.
Because I don't like punch you in the face, So
Right.
I've always like opened my big mouth, um, and that's probably been like the hardest thing in my career is like figuring out when to use that power,
Mm,
when to use that boldness and when to just shut up, because
mm.
there's plenty of times that I should have shut up,
Oh, man.
yeah.
Um,
I think that's
well,
just a human life lesson.
yeah, but like I said, just the fact that you even said something in the first place, like I'm impressed by that. And I feel like, young people, we need to advocate for ourselves even more. And especially, young
Definitely.
people of color in the industry. That's definitely, we need to speak up for ourselves a lot more, and also have other people around who can advocate for us.
Totally.
Um, did you ever have, it sounds like you were in a very supportive environment, but did you have anyone who was discouraging of, you pursuing a career in acting, like family members or anything?
No, I was lucky in that respect too. My family members, I mean, like my grandparents would always send me articles about like engineers and scientists and stuff, you know,
Subtle.
until I got on Law and Order, which was their favorite show. And then
Hmm.
all of a sudden it was like, you don't have to be an engineer anymore. You're on Law and Order. So
Oh man,
you've made it.
of
Yeah.
course.
But my family has always been very my family's always been very supportive. My teachers were very supportive. I can't, I can't point to anybody that actively tried to discourage me,
Oh, that's
except
amazing.
for, peers, like bullies, things like that. But other than that, you
Hmm.
know, the people I had in my life were loving and caring.
Right. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Now, I know you went to you trained at NYU, you trained at Carnegie Mellon, the Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts. What made you, decide to go to these schools and, further your theater drama education
Um,
beyond,
being
LaGuardia?
well, being in LaGuardia was like, oh yeah, I like this conservatory training. I like how
Mhm.
this works out, and I like having so many different teachers. So I went to Carnegie Mellon and pursued that there. Um, and I quickly realized, like every school is different, every conservatory is different, and it's populated with very strong personalities. And the particular personalities at Carnegie Mellon that were at the top, I didn't get along with.
Mm.
And they didn't seem to see much value in me. Um, and I was able to transfer out of that, go to NYU, had a really great teacher for the first year. Then NYU got rid of that teacher and like replaced her, which was really difficult for a lot of us. And then I had a couple of not so great teachers. Then I went to RADA for like an NYU transfer program. And I was like, wow, this school is completely different. Like that school, a lot of conservatories here, or at least Carnegie Mellon, they would they reserve the power to cut you from their program. So I went in, and there was a junior who had been there for 3 years who was getting cut from the program, which I thought was absolutely insane. Like the cost of school to begin with, the amount of time and heart that you put into something, and then somebody's just going to change your grades and give you C's across the board so they can cut you from a program like right when you're about to finish, be going to your last year. I just thought that that was ugly. Um, and when I went to RADA, I found out that their system was, if they choose the 20 people that are going to be in their program for any given year. And if those 20 people who they saw potential in are not growing, they fire the teachers because they're like, you're responsible for the growth
Right.
of this value that we found. So
Right.
if you can't bring it out, we'll find somebody else. And I was like floored by
Wow.
that. I was like, wow, that's amazing.
Wow.
Um,
I think a couple different universities and conservatory programs to take note.
I know, I know. So then
Wow.
I came back and I was kind of out of money, and one of my teachers, the good teacher that they got rid of at NYU, she looked at me and she was like, you don't have to do this, like you know a lot, and I think you'll get more the way that you work. You'll get more out of being in the industry and working there, because you overthink things anyway. So I think you're going to be able to figure it out. Um, and that kind of propelled me away from the educational system. It made me go, I gotta like practice this.
Right. Right.
Um,
I'm happy to hear you say that as well. I think it was last week we had a panel about just the whole thing of college auditions, what to expect, how to, sort of prepare, what questions to ask, what to consider when you're choosing your colleges. But I think it's also important for people to know that you don't necessarily have to go to these schools.
no.
And like it may seem great, and yes, you're going to learn a lot, but sometimes it's just not the best learning environment for you. Um, and
Also,
yeah,
a lot of these
work experience
schools,
better.
yeah, I mean, a lot of these schools are also like, they're so myopic about their method,
Yes.
that
Hmm.
you start to that they almost try to convince you that that method is the only way. And there is no greater lie than that. That method is something that somebody created that worked for them, and then they were able to turn into a school.
Right.
But the thing that we do, the way that we perform, communicate, direct our emotions, and express ourselves, that doesn't need a method. You can use methods to enhance that, to like focus your power, but it's not necessary at all. You know, I love training. I love being able to like take apart a text. I love being able to support my breath. I love being able to like work in, oh, how do I want this character to move? How should I hold my body? How does that affect everything else? Those are great things to think about. But there's also been plenty of times when somebody's been like, here, read this. And things have come out that I have no control over. And you realize, you know, the relationship of an artist to their art is sometimes it's indescribable. There's no way to like control it.
Right.
So.
Right. And it's so different for everyone. What works for one person is not going to work for everyone. And
exactly,
you know, I guess the important thing is at least for me, being in school, I was just like, all right, I'm going to try out all of these different techniques. And thankfully, you know, each professor had a different a different technique to teach us and a different method. So I was just like, all right, I'm going to put it in my toolbox. And even it's in my toolbox now. It may not work for me now, but maybe I'll pull it out later.
Totally.
And maybe not, like you said, maybe I'll just be in the moment and something will happen. What are the most important qualities that you think, you know, we need to make a career in the arts?
I think I think tenacity and self-worth. I think that's probably, I mean, this is a tough industry, you know, and people are constantly going to look at you and go, nah, you're not good, you know, or I don't like your look or whatever the hell it is. They're going to do that. And you have to be able to remove yourself from that criticism and know what you're worth and know how valuable you are and how valuable your voice is. And you also have to be able to like check in when somebody gives you some real criticism and be able to take that as well and work that into how you grow forward. I think those are the most important things. I mean, talent is obviously incredibly important, but we also have seen so many people rise to the top and you're like, how'd you get up there? You know, but I think like in that case, in a lot of those cases, it's having that tenacity to be like, I want to be here. I have to be here. And I can do the job, you know? So I think that's probably the most important thing.
I think we have a question from the audience here. You can say that you have, or I think what they're trying to say is, can you say that you have accomplished your dreams? Do you feel like you've accomplished your dreams? It's kind of a big question.
It's a huge question because also like, you know, I started in high school and now I'm 42. So the dreams change, you know, you have like, I remember being at John's Pizza. I had like $300 to my name and I was going to get paid $150 that night in cash. And I was like, I need this. And I had just like not gotten an audition or something. And I had just, and somebody I had been waiting on a table and they're like, you're the guy from Super Troopers. And I'm like, yeah. What do you want? You want like a pizza? What's going on? They're like, oh my God, can you just, I'm like, listen, Diet Coke, what do you want? And I was kind of embarrassed at that time because I was like, man, I like people are recognizing me at tables, but I still can't afford to like, you know, pay my rent. And I was like, I just wish, just like, why can't I be like one of these jerks on like a procedural show on television where they make like 22 episodes a year and they just get paid? Like, I'd do anything to do that. Well, that was like the dream at like, you know, 16, 17, whatever. That was that dream. I've since done that, you know, that's not my dream anymore. You know, now I'm like, man, I hope I really don't want to get on another 22 episode show. That killed me. I want to do the dream now. I think I've accomplished a bunch of dreams I had when I didn't know what I should have been dreaming about. The dream now is like, can I do work that I would watch and that I would be excited to watch? Can I do work where I get to explore like the facets of what it is to be human, and then in that way I can be excited about acting? Like, the other thing about this business, what happens is you can get what you think your dreams are, and then then you'll see that those dreams are not they were just sort of like childlike fantasies. Like, the reality of them is a lot harder. How do you
Right.
work on a show where you have very little creative input, but you've got to work there 10 months out of the year doing what you love, but they don't let you do what you
What
love?
you love. Yeah.
And it becomes almost like a retail job. But you're acting, but you're on television,
Right.
and you're working with amazing people. But what you're doing is basically just like, making pizzas and serving pizzas. Same
Right.
pizza. So there's like, and then what happens when you like kind of like lose your excitement about it, because they don't want you to be excited about it. They just want you to make that pizza. So I've had the great fortune of getting to work on this show Goliath, and it blew my mind. Like, everybody there is an artist, everybody there's a craftsman. They want to explore real things, and they
Right.
want you to do your best. And
Right.
because I am like partially an idiot, I was like, I forgot that existed.
No, yeah. I feel like I mean, even for me, like with Grand Army, this was my first ever film, TV, on camera professional job ever. And I know that I was spoiled with that experience because I got like I was just an actor. I was a recurring character, but I got to like tell the writer one time. I was like, hey, something on the set, it just doesn't make sense uh with it doesn't correspond with this character's reaction to someone coming into her home unannounced.
Yeah.
And then I was able to literally mess up the set so that
Yeah.
it actually reflected that. Like, I had that kind of agency on the show. I was able to, choose what costume I wanted to wear, how my character was going to look, what haircut she was going to have, what hair color she was going to have in the next few episodes. And that's so rare. I realized, and everyone told me that.
Yeah. But that's
So,
amazing.
yeah. So it is definitely amazing. But I think like you said, this industry can seem very like glitz and glam and fun, but like with any job, you're gonna fall in and out of love with it, especially
Totally.
if you've been in it for as long as you have been, or even 10 years, 5 years. You never know. And like you said, we evolve as human beings.
Yeah. So that's where that tenacity comes in. You guys got to be
Absolutely.
like, you have to have faith.
Absolutely. We have a question here. So how do students that might not have access?
I just lost your audio again, but I see that question there.
I've muted myself.
Oh, okay.
I'm
Yeah.
muting myself.
Okay. I think I hear you now. I think right now, if you asked me that question 5 years ago, I'd be like, I don't know, because the New York I know is gone, and I don't know, like, I don't know what to do now. But now I look at it and I'm like, we all have cameras. We all have every piece of filmed performative art is available to stream. I
Mhm.
think you have to find out what excites you, what interests you about the things that you see, and then like anybody, you have to try to emulate it, and you have to see if you can create it at the same time. And now, because we all have these cameras, we all have access to editing, we all can do that, and we have a place to put our art and find an audience.
Yeah.
I think you have to just try. I think you have to try and you have to be interested. I mean, the most important thing about being an actor is to be an involved human. It's to be somebody who reads a lot, somebody who watches people, somebody who is empathetic and tries to understand different situations. And if you can do that, then that's the best way to start. Just be
Absolutely.
interested.
Yes, curiosity. Be
Mm-hmm.
curious about the human condition. It seems like our time is sort of coming to an end. But do you? I mean, that was also a good, sort of closing statement. But do you have any extra final words for our audience?
I mean, other than what we talked about, this idea of like, I think what you said was really, really smart. Really smart. Like you're gonna go in and out of love for things,
Yeah.
and I think like knowing what you're dedicated to and having the tenacity to keep going after it is the most important thing. And also the way I think it's also like it's tough in this industry. People want to place you into spaces and keep you there, you
Mm,
know, and you should. Some of that is okay because we all have to make our living, but
mhm,
do not lose the sense that only you really know the thing that only you really know what you want to express to the world. Like nobody's going to look at you and go, "Oh, you should be this type of person." I mean, they may, but they're not going to be right. Like you have to find out for yourself what kind of artist you want to be and not be afraid of it.
right.
Yeah.
Find out what kind of artist you want to be and do not be afraid. Love it, love it, love it. Thank you so much, Jeff, for being here and talking with us and being so open and candid about your experience in the industry and just how you came up. I personally found it inspiring, and I hope the audience took some gems away from this interview. And just thank you again for being here. Really
My
appreciate it.
pleasure.
Yes, 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 yes.
Thanks.
Um, so in closing, don't miss our latest How to Prepare for a College Audition. I'm in that video, so check it out, where I prep you for your college audition or any audition. And you can follow Opening Act for All on Instagram, subscribe on YouTube, and join us for our next live event on Friday, December 4th with Guillermo Diaz. Alrighty, thank you guys so much and take care. We'll see you next Friday.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.